Good afternoon, everyone. We got a full room today, so great to see you. Arthur Gardner is going to lead us in the national anthem
The sunshine and bright stars with the arrow of sky. For the ramparts we watch were so gallantly strewn, and the body's red flame of a thirsty wind came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? Join me in the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Michael 3 has our invocation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's go to God in prayer. Eternal Father, we thank you again for another day that we can come out and serve you. Bless, Lord, all the servant leaders that are here. Bless this club. Bless our families at home. Bless the military. Bless us, Father, as one community, Lord, come together, Lord, to do your work. We're so grateful, Father, for the opportunity, Lord, to serve. Continue to reignite that fire, Lord, within all of us, Lord, so we go out and do what you call us to do. Again, Lord, bless this club and all the Roman those around the country. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Tree. As Terry Dubin comes forward with the family of Rotary, I do want to say a special a prayer request. It was brought to my attention that Chris Pruitt, one of his daughters was engaged this weekend, so we want to pray for Chris.
Well, if she got engaged, I guess you would have to give him some advice, President Josh. And I was given this on my two daughters by Dr. Ronnie Cook, and it was great sage advice. He said the job of the father of the daughters that are getting married is to show up, shut up, and pay up. So anybody who's got daughters getting married, that's sage advice, and it works well. Let's celebrate some birthdays. Adam Roberson on January 29th. Willis Smitherman, January 31st. Adam Hall, February 2nd. And Bob Rutter on February the 3rd. And one anniversary, Robert Bird and Tony on February the 3rd. Hope y'all have a fantastic week. Thank you.
Mark Kristen, please come forward and introduce our guest.
It's great to see such a full room today. So we are happy to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing until all visitors are recognized? So we have Fran LaMattina, who's a guest of Walter Hill. Jessica Stelton Pole, guest of Colton Curitan. Gloria Biddings, guest of Bruce McNeil. Mark Stewart, who's a guest of the club. Laura Bruce, who's also a guest of the club. And then we have Casey King, Kim Wilson, Jeff Carlisle, David Asville, and Tony Turner, who are guests of Archie Solomon. And then we also have Miss Susan Anderson, who's visiting us from the Tuesday Club. Are there any other visitors that I may have missed today? All right. Well, thank you for visiting today.
Great to see so many visitors with us today. Chris Dixon, will you please come forward for our Camp Basket drawing? 3,276 points. All right, the last score, 6,891. All right. King of Hearts. All right, Mary Beth has an announcement she would like to make.
Thank you, President Josh. Just want to let everybody know that it is Rotary Ball time. So we have selected a date. So Saturday, April 27th, our Rotary Ball is going to begin at 5:30. We're going to conclude somewhere around 10. And this year it's going to be at the Dothan Country Club. So raise your hand if you were able to make it last year. Yes, it was a good time. And we had the band that we had last year was Legacy, and we liked it so much that we've invited them back for round 2. So one big change that we're making this year is that we're not selling individual tickets, and everything is going to be table based. So we have 10 people tables. So in other words, 5 couples, $1,200. And we have one more table that's available that would actually accommodate 6 couples. It's $1,400. And so I've reached out to everybody, I believe to everybody that purchased a table last year. And several of you have already been kind enough to say, yes, count us in. Again, this year, I think we're up to 9 or 10 table sales already. I am a little behind on I have not billed anybody yet. One of the things that we're doing differently is we actually have a tablescape. We have the whole room planned out, and you can select which table you want to sit at. So if you're like Greg Hendricks and you want to be very close to the dance floor, you can be that way. If you're like my husband, if you want to be, not near a speaker where you can talk to everybody, we can do that too. So if you have already purchased your table, expect to get at least one email from me this week where you can dial in and select which table you want to be at. For those of you, the table sales are open to everybody. So if you are interested, we really want to sell this out. We know that this is one of our opportunities to support the Rotary Miracle Field. As you will remember, this is a joint venture between the Monday and Tuesday Club that started, 12, 13 years ago. And we have the ongoing maintenance cost every year of the upkeep of the field, and it was decided that this fundraiser could be sort of our permanent way to make those necessary improvements and upkeeps every year without any of us having to dip back into our pockets. For those of you that would like to support the event, like to support the Miracle Field, but aren't a dancer and don't really want to get dressed up and come to a ball, we are going to have some sponsorship opportunities where your business can be promoted at the event, and we'll be sharing more about that later. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Greg Hendricks. Brad Parrish helped us last year. If you'll get with one of us, we'll be glad to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth. All right. Les Pinker, would you please come forward and make an announcement for us?
Thank you, President Josh. My longtime friend and fellow Rotarian, Stan Sessions, is in a big battle. It's called cancer. Some of you can relate to that. He takes his next chemo on Wednesday, and if all goes as planned, he'll go back to MD Anderson a second time in early March. So he covets your prayers, texts, calls. He would love to hear from any of you that know Stan, but please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Thanks.
Thank you, Les. Dale Goodwin and Greg Hendricks, would you please come forward for an announcement?
And Josh, join us down here too, please. And also Bruce McNeil, Sheila and Mike Asar, and Alan. Is Alan here today? We had our mid-year Rotary Conference a couple of Fridays ago, and it turned out wonderful. Our Dothan Club was very well represented at the conference. Bruce McNeil had several parts on the program. Without Sheila and Mike Azar, I don't think any of the technology could have come across. They did an outstanding job. Alan helped out wherever we needed to put him. And then Adam Williams talked about Rolla and the Interact Club and all of those things that he's kind of working with. And he did a great job. But our club received several honors at the meeting. So I have those, and it was during Greg Hendrick's year that we received these honors. The first thing, we were the highest giving club for giving to the Polio Plus last year of all the 48 clubs. So that's a great big thank you to each of you. That was the first thing we received.
By the way, we gave 4 times more than any other club in the state.
Right. And of all the clubs giving, we were in the top 3 of the clubs from Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and there was one other state that was part of that, and we were in the top 3 of the most giving club of all of them. The next banner that we received is each member of our club gave at least $100 to the Rotary Foundation last year. And there were only, I think, 5 clubs out of the district that received that banner. The next banner, we had an average giving of our club members of at least $100. And we were one of maybe 5 clubs that received this banner. So I'm very proud to say I'm a Dothan Rotarian, and all of you should be too. Let's give ourselves a big standing ovation for this. And it was also announced at the meeting, and I got to get more information about this, but we have 2 Rotarians that are members of our Dothan Rotary Club that have just received major donor level giving for Rotary. That is, they've given over $10,000 to Rotary. And as soon as I get more information about that, I'll be glad to share that with you. Unless, Josh, have you received anything on it? Yeah. So as soon as I get more information about that, it'll be a great honor to present something to those 2 individuals from our Rotary Club. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. All right, at this time, I would like to invite up Sheriff Donald Valenza, James Etheridge, and Archie Solomon, and any guests that you want to join you.
Mayor Brett, thank you for that segue about raising money for Miracle Field. Many of you are new, don't know what our clubs did. I don't remember. Tell me how many years ago, Bruce, it was when we started Miracle Field.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. Okay. So, anyhow, after we did the Miracle Field, it felt like there was a need to do also a Miracle Playground. So if you haven't been out to Miracle Field before, I challenge you, because it's because of the Rotary Club and people in this club and the Tuesday Club that it came to pass many years ago, as Bruce said that. So later on, we did the playground. If you that have been here for the last 4 or 5 years knew that the field came in disarray on the playing surface, and with our clubs along with the city of Dothan, that field was also, the playing surface was redid again and put down with a better playing surface than before. COVID came along, so it hasn't been used. It is in excellent shape, but along the way, the playground
has found it needs some love too. So if you haven't been out there, please do. It's out at Westgate. I'm going to show you, this is where the playground is out at Westgate. And here is another view of that also. And here is, I think, if Bruce, isn't that your grandson up there hanging upside down?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Many years ago.
Many years ago. That was when, right after I think it was built. But yeah, it's starting to show some love out there. And been some discussions about things to be done, and the city's working on a plan for that. But anyhow, with that, it also needs help. And if you did not know this, our obligation we made to the city of Dothan for our support between the Monday Club and the Tuesday Club was paid off last year. And so there's never, whenever you got maintenance need, you got to always plan for that. So Mary Beth is saying for the Miracle Field, there'll be some needs for additional maintenance. Could be money that we need to spend on the playground. But I got some great news for you today, and that's why the sheriff's up here. And I'm going to segue this into the sheriff sharing you what he did, his staff did, and it's going to be a kickstart for working on the playground.
Thank you, James. During the summer, Captain Asbill and Captain Turner approached me and asked, would we be interested in putting on a golf tournament? And I told them, I said, well, I mean, we could look at it, but you know, there's several tournaments in Dothan already. And probably two of the big tournaments from Southeast Hills and they max out with 50 teams. And so I got with Archie. Archie got with Josh, sort of passing it down, and asked would they back us if we try to have a golf tournament raise money for the Miracle Field. And so we did. And with Captain Turner, Captain Asbill as the initiators of this project, and then my secretary is Casey, and my personnel director Kim sort of handled all the registration and the money and forwarded it to James and getting everything set up. But I'd like to have them come up and bring the check that we're going to present to Rotary. They raised $32,494.28.
Well, one thing, by the way, we maxed out our first year with 50 teams. Of course, we had a rain delay. I think 46 showed up. 184 golfers. Yeah, oh, wow. 46 teams showed up. So I appreciate it.
Thank you again, Sheriff, and all your team who did this. I told you it's going to be a great start for us to do some things at the Miracle Field Playground. We'll be doing a presentation also with this check tomorrow with Future Club. It is a combined effort we do because it takes, as we always heard, it takes a village to do things. Well, it took a big village to have this dream that took place years ago, and now we have the fruits of that. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call up Charles Bunton to introduce our guest speakers.
Good afternoon. Southeast Health, as y'all probably know, is the largest employer in Dothan. They've got a little over 3,000 people and over 400 beds. And who's like me? Who still calls it the medical center? Am I the only one? Yeah, old school people right there. Right here. Well, we are thrilled today to have the CEO and his team. I'll let him introduce his team. to be here today, and very impressed by Rick. They were, Claudia and his team are going around Dothan and giving this talk and telling the community all the good things of the medical center. Southeast Health. And so I think you'll really enjoy it. A little bit about Rick that you probably don't know is he was appointed Chief Executive Officer of Southeast Health and President of the Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine in May of 2016. He will be celebrating his 8-year milestone with the organization. Prior to that, Rick was with Banner Health for 16 years as he progressed in his career. His first assignment was as Chief Executive Officer at one of their critical access hospitals. From there, he advanced from the organization and eventually led the Northern Colorado operations for Banner Health, which includes 3 hospitals. Prior to joining Banner Health, he worked in Trinity Health in South Bend, Indiana from 1999 to 2001. From 1986 to 1999, Rick served in various healthcare management and administration positions in the United States Army. He received his bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Mississippi in 1986 and his master's degree in health service administration from Central Michigan University in 1995. Rick and his wife Bonnie call the Wicksburg Community Home and is a member of Ridgecrest Baptist Church. Will you please help me in welcoming Rick to Rotary?
Okay, if I go from here? Sure. That's all right? Okay, good. Well, thank y'all for having me. So I'm gonna have this is an abbreviated version. There's several in here that have seen some of the community presentations that we've done, but I was told that I have a strict timeline, and I intend to make sure that I hit that timeline so that I'll have time for questions, and I don't keep anybody from getting back to what they need to do. But I just kind of start everything with our mission and our vision, and we did this about 5 years ago, where we changed that to incorporate all the different entities that do make up Southeast Health. There are 5 major entities underneath Southeast Health, the medical center being one of them, but the medical schools and the other ones, the Terra Health. We have the foundation, and then we have the medical group, which is our employee physician group. And our mission and our vision, obviously, cover all 5 of those major entities. We have put a strategic goal and an aspirational goal to be a top 100 hospital nationally. I believe we should compare ourselves to all 5,500 hospitals in the U.S. And so that's what we put as an aspirational goal. We have our strategies that align around that objective. But if you're at the medical center, you will hear people talking about top 100 goal, because that is what we have set as an aspirational goal with our staff. Now, one thing that is probably pretty common, and you've heard it in the news a lot, is talking about the labor. And we struggle with labor just like everyone else. Everybody thinks it's just a nursing shortage, but it is not. It is an everything shortage. And so we are definitely struggling with that as well. But one of the things that we've had to do, we've had to make sure that we remain market competitive. And so when you really look at that, we needed to do some analysis on our market adjustments, because we need to compare ourselves with the other Southeast states. And we said we will be market competitive within the Southeast region of the U.S. We can't compare ourselves to New York or California. But in the Southeast, we have made a decision to be market competitive with our staff in the Southeast states. And so you can see that in the last couple of years, we've had to give some pretty sizable market adjustments. Now, I'm not talking about their pay raises that they get on an annual basis. These are just market adjustments we've had to make. So about 2.3 million, 4.5, and then just this year we're at 700,000. But I have another 3 million budgeted to make sure that we're keeping pace with what's going on in the market. We've had to look internal. We're having to develop training programs within the organization because we are not able to recruit enough from the programs that exist out there. Surgical tech program would be just a great example of one. I mean, there are surgical tech programs. But if I got every single graduate from that surgical tech program that are here locally, that still wouldn't satisfy the need that I have. So what we did is we went ahead and started looking at how do we build and put together programs internal to the organization that can, in fact, fill the needs that we have. Additionally, it gives our people an opportunity to grow. So we have set this up, and we really recruit internally. So we're trying to give people within the organization the opportunity to grow within the organization. This is a great example of that.
One of the things that we've got to get comfortable with, and I had to get comfortable with it, because the way I thought it worked is, you sign up for an 8 to 5 job Monday through Friday, and that's just the way it was, right? And that's how it works. But that is not the way it works, especially as we are now having a multi-generational workforce. We've got to advance with some of the things that are changing. Like self-scheduling would be one of them. I couldn't get my arms around that. I'll just leave it all open and let everybody schedule on their own. But the fact is, we bought a program and we said, listen, y'all, I'll let you pick what shifts you want to work and when you want to work them, but I need all my shifts covered. That's the deal. And guess what? Lo and behold, all the shifts get covered. And so I started to embrace some of these alternative work schedules. And our staff is responding to that because they do appreciate that. We've had to look at work from home and remote work. And we do that. We do that in a number of locations. And I think that that's what's starting to really help address some of the retention issues that we were seeing. People are pretty happy with what we're doing right now between market adjustments, some of these different scheduling and alternative work schedules and locations. And then we also want to make sure that we create a place that they want to work. And so we've had to commit a lot of resources to really upgrading the facility, upgrading the organization, but also to make sure that we are on the cutting edge of technology. And we made a commitment that we will be on the cutting edge of technology, not the bleeding edge, but the cutting edge of technology. But people like that. People that go into healthcare want that type of technology, and they want to be on the cutting edge. And so we've done that, and I think that that's also been beneficial to us. Now, one of the things I do look at is I like to look at what our employee engagement scores are. We do an employee engagement score once a year. We use Gallup. Everybody's heard of the Gallup survey or Gallup, organization. We use Gallup. Matter of fact, it's going on right now. This will be our 3rd year that we do it. But participation tells you something. You can just look at the participation and you can almost figure out what your score is going to be, because when people are disengaged, they will not participate. And when you get high participation, what you find is people are pretty engaged. And so to have an 86%, you can see we went from 42% our first year to 86% last year, and this year is shaping up to be even better. So I think that we're on the right track when it comes to our engagement, because I believe that it's engaged employees that take an organization forward. You want to have a great organization, it's employees that carry you to greatness. It's not strategy, it's not management, it's your employees that take you there. So we're committed to having an engaged workforce, and we really put a lot of effort around that. But I think it pays off, because we didn't apply for this. We were awarded Forbes. This is the 2nd year in a row that we were best in state, but we didn't apply for it. I don't know how you get it. It just shows up. I'm kind of fired up that we got it, but I don't know how we got it, other than trying to treat people right, treat them with dignity, treat them with respect, make them feel valued. And I think that we're doing a pretty good job of that. We also had a record high giving of our employee campaign. I think that's another indicator that we really just kind of look at. Employees will not give to places they do not believe in or they do not like. And so we just exceeded 300,000. That's the highest we've ever had. Actually, the last 3 years in a row, each one has been a new record year. This was the latest record year. But I think that speaks to what the employees, they believe in what we're doing, and they want to give back to the foundation through their employee giving. And so we're pretty happy about that. This is that surgical tech program I told y'all about. It's just an example of one of the internal programs we're doing in order to address the workforce shortages that we're having. The other thing that we've really embraced is simulation. Now, we did it at ACOM as well. We have a very large simulation center at ACOM, but we've embraced simulation at the medical center as well. What we do know is we have a lot of nurses that come in. Some of them are new graduate nurses. And one of the things that they do is before that, it's a little unnerving when you go in there and you start taking care of patients on your own, especially when you're brand new, right? And so what we've done is we've created what we call a simulation center. And this is allowing nurses to train with real live situations, but with a mannequin instead. Now, everybody says these are mannequins. These are not your CPR mannequins. These are $100,000 a piece mannequins, because these mannequins breathe, blink, talk, have respiration, they sweat. They have all kinds of clinical things that we can program so that these nurses are faced on the simulator what they will face in real life at the bedside. And what we have found is that it really allows these nurses to gain confidence and train and get this training with the risk of not hurting anyone. And so that's been something that we've really embraced here with the simulation center at the hospital. This is the nursing simulation, and again, we have a much larger simulation center down at ACOM. But this is, I believe this is something that's the way to the future. We need to be training with simulation, and so we are doing. Now, one of the things that we did invest in back in 21 was Epic. Epic is the electronic health record. I will tell you, I think it's the best health record in the world, actually. Of all top 100 hospitals in the United States, all of them use Epic. Now, the 9-star rating, we put that down there because you think, well, how many stars are there? Well, there's 10. Well, is 9 pretty good? Well, it's pretty good, right? But what does it mean? Well, what the Epic starts you over every year. You start down at the bottom, and every year they're going to grade you on how much are you using your health record. You know, how much of the things that we're capable of doing are you using? And so then as you start flipping on these toggles and using what Epic has, your star rating starts going up. So we're at a 9-star rating. But let me just give you an idea of who else is at a 9-star rating. Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. So it kind of gives you an idea. We are pushing the envelope on what the electronic health record is capable of doing. So we're pretty happy with our star rating with Epic. Now, one of the things that we did look at very early on was with the nursing shortage that everyone was experiencing, travel nurses, the whole thing with the contract labor going out of control, we decided we were going to look international. We said we're going to look to see if we can bring in international nurses. There are countries out there that have nurses that are volunteering in hospitals because they have too many nurses. Believe it or not, too many nurses. And so they are volunteering, just trying to get clinical time. And so the area that we're really looking at, we're recruiting out of a few countries, the Philippines being the primary country, but we have some out of West Africa and then the Philippines are the two areas that we really concentrate on. We went early on and put in 100 nurse requests. We said we want to get 100 of them. And so we ended up getting 128 contracts signed. We have 44 people here working now, and we have another 45 that are due in here this year alone. These are 3-year contracts. So they're 3-year contracts. These people have their visas, they're a 3-year contract, but at the end of that 3 year, they can stay with us as a regular employee if they so choose. It's up to them. And what we have found is, believe it or not, we have some that are hitting the 3-year mark, and they're staying right here. They're buying houses in Dothan. They're bringing their families here to Dothan, and they're staying here as a full-time employee at Southeast Health. So we're very happy with that. We think this is a long-term strategy that's going to work very effectively to address some of our nursing issues. This just gives you an idea. You can see at one point, we were up over 250 nurse openings. We're now down below 100. So I think some of the things that we're putting in place, we're making some headway, but we still have work to do, especially as I start opening. I have one floor that's under renovation right now. It'll open in July. I have one more floor that I will close, but I'll only close half of it. So I'm going to have to staff up another 30 nurses in order to open that second half of the floor. But so obviously the requisitions will go up, but we'll continue to pursue filling our full-time nurse positions. And I think we'll have no problem getting there. Now, one of the things that we also do, this is our scorecard. Now, I know it's real busy and you probably can't see it, but it goes over certain things, patient satisfaction, quality, finance, HR type stuff. We put these in the public hallways. So these are in the public hallways at the employee entrance, down by the cafeteria and outside the doctor's lounge, but also any patients or visitors can also see this. And we post this and update it every single month. This is how we're doing. We are transparent. I believe if you want to create heat, you turn the light on it, right? So we have put it out in the public so that everybody can see how we're performing. And I'll just tell you, staff look at this. They look at it every single month because they do not like to see red. They want to make sure that they're addressing the areas that they have an opportunity. The other thing that I will tell you, and this is something that every hospital in the U.S. is struggling with, is there's this thing called value-based purchasing. And the government has said, you know what, we want you to focus on patient satisfaction. We want you to focus on quality. And at first it was a suggestion, but now they've brought a stick to the game, right? And what they do is they say, we are going to withhold 2% of your dollars. Now remember, the government is over half of our pay. So that is a large number. They withhold 2%. And based on your outcomes on patient satisfaction and quality, they will either give you up to a bonus of 2%, but they also can penalize you 2%. And it's a zero-sum game. So guess what happens? The hospitals that are doing well are getting incented even more because they're getting a financial bonus. Whereas the hospitals that are performing poorly are now being penalized, right? So I can tell you, the high-performing hospitals are gonna get even stronger yet because they're gonna have more money. And so we keep that in mind. We point that out to our staff. We let them see it, but that is one of the things that we do track on the scorecard. Star ratings, this is a CMS thing that started, that the CMS puts out. They put it out a couple times a year. And I think this is what I'm going to show you. There's been a change. Now, the one thing that CMS, you need to know about CMS data is it's always lagging. It's a lagging indicator, okay? So you look at it, you say, well, it's January 23 rating. That is the rating, but it's probably a year and a half to 2 years back is when they were pulling the data. It's always lagging. And you can see that in January 23, there was 4s, 3s, and 2 stars in the state. So we were right there in a 3-star. Right there, you can see where Southeast Health was. Then the July of 23 came out, and we're still a 3-star, but notice there was a big shift to the right. And now we have actually some 1-stars that have fallen up there. We have 4 1-star hospitals, but a lot of hospitals that were in the 3 went to the 2 category. This is COVID time. This is when a lot of COVID was happening in the hospitals. And so that's what you're starting to see. I think that's why there was a shift in some of the lower star ratings. So hopefully what we'll see is as the data starts catching up, we got out of COVID, that we'll start seeing the outcomes across the organizations improve. So we keep a watch on that as well. I'm sure y'all seen the billboards and all that, where we want clinical outcomes, social responsibility, a number of things that we have. Again, this is things you can't apply for, but I'll be honest with you, I was like, what exactly is social responsibility? I didn't even know what it was. We got it. I'm like, well, I wonder what that is. I think it's we looked at that, and it's like, is your demographics of your hospital, does it mirror that of your community? In other words, are you taking care of the community, or is there a disconnect? And so, obviously, when you look at what we have as our patients and what the community looks like, they match pretty clearly. So I think that we're real happy with that. That's when you can see social responsibility, but also cost outcomes. Very pleased with that performance. Now, here's one of the things I like to talk to people about, because I get beat about this all the time. We have a number of patients that come in through the hospital, and primarily you find the front door of the hospital is rapidly becoming the emergency department. So you have people coming in that either privately owned vehicles, or they come in through ambulances, or walk in, whatever, but they come into the hospital through the ED. And so when they're needing to be admitted, you have to say, well, okay, they need admitted. Do I even have a bed that is open upstairs that I can put that patient in? And if the answer is yes, okay, we'll move to the next thing. Do I have staff that can take care of that patient that's in that open bed? All right. So if that answer is yes, then we start treating them. They're an acute care facility. We want to make sure that we treat them appropriately, and then we want to discharge. We look at that through length of stay. A patient that has a certain disease type should be in the hospital. We can kind of predict what the issue is, how long they should be in the hospital to be ready for discharge. And so we look at length of stay. Once they're ready, they're not in an acute situation anymore, because we're acute care, then we need to start thinking about discharge. Now, there's a number of ways you discharge. You discharge home, you discharge home with home health, you discharge to a rehab hospital, to a skilled nursing facility. There's a number of things on the post-acute care side that we discharge to. And so that's what we call transition of care. So we transition the people out, which then opens up the bed, we clean it, and we bring another person up from the emergency room. When we cannot have great transition of care and get people out of the hospital from upstairs, it shows up downstairs in the ER, and we have diversion. And I get hit about diversion every day, because more and more times we find that we have more people waiting for beds than we have people going out the door that day. And so you end up holding people in there. I don't want to be on diversion any more than anybody else. I would like to not be on diversion, because when I'm not on diversion, that's called financial strength. That's how the wheel works. But when I cannot get people out of the hospital, it causes you to clog up and you end up on diversion. So we have an 11 o'clock meeting every single day to talk about how do we discharge patients? How do we get out a safe discharge? And it's just amazing the things that we run into. It's post-acute, it's social issues, it's family issues. Everybody's got a different situation, but they're very complicated. And so I just want you to know, we constantly are working to get people out of the hospital in a safe way so that we can open up beds. Now, one of the things that we've tried to do really since If y'all remember, those that were here in 16, you remember we did optimization. And so I remember on day of optimization, the front page of the paper with the black cloud over the hospital and all. We actually were very successful with that. We took out $30 million in cost, and it allowed the hospital then to operate in the black, and then we had money to now reinvest back in the hospital. Well, I can tell you when you are not operating in the black, you're not reinvesting because you don't have the money to do it. But when you start making money, you can then pour it back into the organization. So once we were able to take that expense out of the hospital, we took those savings and started pouring it back in and overcapitalizing the hospital in order to catch up. Make sure that remember I said cutting edge technology, we had to spend to get there. So this gives you an idea how much we've been spending on capital alone over the last several years. 2020 was our big year, a little over 50 million. But we're going to probably settle in somewhere between that 20 and 25 million a year that we're going to continue to reinvest in the organization in order to make sure that we have the equipment, the right equipment in order to care for this community. And so that just gives you an idea of what we've done recently. ER volumes are starting to tick back up. Now, we had prior to pandemic, you see we had 57,000 visits, and then it dipped way down during COVID because everyone was scared to come to the hospital at that point. And so, but now that what we're seeing is it's starting to return. And so we're at 53,000 right now, but I think 24, we're well past our pre-COVID numbers starting in 24. So I think we're going to see that number continue to rise. And so we've had to look at some renovations in our ED. One of the things I told y'all is we end up holding people. I came in the other night, we had 5 ambulances unloading patients right at just the time I happened to show up, there were 5. But that's ongoing. It's always happening like that. And so we've looked at how do we still have throughput for these hospitals, the patients that come in through the front door. And a lot of these people are like urgent care type things. So how do we treat those? The ones that I can treat and then get them back outside. And so we have set up treatment areas in the lobby. Obviously they're enclosed, but we treat people in the lobby. We bring them in, assess them, do whatever it is, and if there's any testing, we have them go do the test, but they don't stay in the treatment area. If you're going to wait for the result of let's say a lab test, you can wait in the waiting room so we can open up that bed and treat another person. The people who are being treated and released in the lobby, I wasn't sure they were going to like that, but we do on the spot patient satisfaction surveys, and they love it because it's in and out, and so they appreciate that. But the emergency department flow is obviously something we have to continue to focus on. COVID taught us nobody has enough critical care beds. And so we went in, put in a CON and asked to build an additional ICU unit, which they approved. And so we did build our 14-bed critical care unit up on the 3rd floor. That's just a picture of it right there. We have moved. What we did is we had pediatric beds on one of the med-surg floors. We had an area upstairs on the 4th floor that wasn't being used, so we ended up moving the pediatrics up there. This gives you an idea of what it looks like. It's now open. That was our open house. And then that gave us an additional med-surg beds downstairs that we're going to use for med-surg adult. So that's our pediatric unit. So we're trying to just make sure that we can maximize the beds. For those that saw that construction on Main Street there for like almost a year, right? That's our linear accelerator. That was a corner. We had to add a 3rd linear accelerator. Linear accelerators are for radiation therapy for cancer patients. And so, unfortunately, that's a growing need that we have here. And this linear accelerator is already being highly utilized. So that's our 3rd one. So we're happy that we have that for the community. And then across the medical park development, the medical center, if you really look at it, we're right across the street. So that medical park's right there behind Winn-Dixie. But across the street, we're kind of landlocked, right? And so what we're looking to do is to build across the street. That's where the GI Center, those 2 buildings there, are the GI's offices and the Endo Center. But we're going to look to build over on that side as we have medical needs arise. That's where we're going to be putting us on that medical park. We do intend to grow our cardiovascular service line here. So we're already starting that. We're renovating our 5 cath labs. We're already 3 of them into it. They're about $1 million a piece, but we've done 3 of them. We're ready to build a 4th shortly. But we've also recruited some additional physicians. Y'all all know Dr. Alabadi and Dr. Pinson. They were independent. They now joined the medical group, but we've also now recruited in Dr. Mays from the Panhandle of Florida. So he'll be starting later this summer. We're very happy to have them, and there will be others. So we'll continue to grow the cardiovascular line. If you're gonna have a heart program though, I believe you should probably be looking at structural heart. And so that was something we looked at early on. So the first thing in a structural heart program is what they call a TAVR, transaortic valve replacement. And what used to be is you had to have your chest split open and they replace your aortic valves. Very long recovery, painful. And what they can do now with the TAVR is they can replace your aortic valve through a femoral catheter that they go in, and you're in and out of the hospital in just several days. And so that's a TAVR. And so we did that. First picture is when we hit 250 TAVRs. We've now exceeded 300 TAVRs. And so that's really the first leg of a structural heart program. The second leg of a structural heart program is what we call a Watchman device. And Watchman devices are designed to treat atrial fibrillation. And that is to make sure you don't have a stroke when you have those flutters in your heart. And so we've now done over 100 of those. Again, those are all through femoral arteries. And then the third leg, the final leg of a structural heart program that we do not have yet, but will be standing up, be mitral valve clipping. And once you have those three parts of the structural heart program, it's a pretty mature program. That's exactly what we're going. We worked with the community through the foundation. A lot of businesses have participated in this. But, the Heart Safe. Heart Safe is one of the programs that we're working with the city and the county and the fire, EMS. And what it is it's how do you help bridge people who have out of hospital cardiac arrest? It's how do you take care of that 10 minutes before EMS arrives? Because that's the crucial part. If you can't address those 10 minutes, you got a problem, right? And so what we wanted to do is in a program that says if you can have a certain number of the population trained in hands-only CPR, and you can have a certain number of AEDs spread throughout the community, you can be designated a heart-safe city. And so that's what we've been really pushing for the last several years. And so we've done a lot of training classes. We've worked with businesses that have gone and got heart-safe business designations, given AEDs out through the foundation. People have bought AEDs. We've worked closely with the EMS. You can see that our goal for designations is 71. We're at 57 now, so we're still pushing. We have others coming. We need about 7,100 people trained in hands-only CPR. So we're getting close. We're pretty happy about that. But the other thing that the foundation did is they bought a program called Pulse Point that they have embedded into the 911 system. And so now what happens with that is if you've been trained in CPR, when someone calls for 911 for assistance because someone's having a cardiac arrest, Pulse Point sends a signal to your iPhone if you have your locations on. And if you're within a quarter mile of that person that needs help, it notifies you, said, would you please go render assistance to this person? That's pretty cool. I thought, I wonder if this was going to work, right? We haven't even become heart safe, and I already know of one person that has had CPR rendered to them through someone who was trained by the Heart Safe program, and they're still alive today. To them, this whole program was worth it. But I think there's probably others in the future that this will happen. This is powerful, and if y'all haven't done it, please participate in Heart Safe. It's a great thing for the community. The other thing that we looked at is comprehensive stroke. We are in the stroke belt. This part of Alabama is in the stroke belt. There are 3 certified stroke centers in the state of Alabama, us, UAB, and then USA down in Mobile. And so we continue to work with that. Unfortunately, that program continues to grow. We're 4, 5, 6 strokes a day now is what's coming. The state is changing the guidelines on how they want to start bypassing certain hospitals that can't intervene. You're having a large vessel occlusion, so we're going to probably see even more stroke patients coming to us because we were identified as one that they want them to take us. They want the EMS to take them to. So we think that volume is probably going to grow, and we're looking at expanding the neuro labs. CT, we've had to add an additional CT. I thought that would buy us some time, actually. But it's already working pretty close to capacity. And then if y'all been out on Highway 52 going out towards Slocum, we're trying to mirror the clinic that we have out in Ashford. It's an ACOM clinic. And so they have ACOM Ashford, and we're now building ACOM Taylor. And so that's out up on Highway 52. And the issue with that is we're trying to give our third-year medical students time to work with real patients, but under the supervision of an attending. And so that's what we do. Those clinics there, obviously they're primary care, but like a normal primary care would be a 15-minute appointment. These could be 45 or 50 minutes because it is a teaching clinic. And so the patients really appreciate it, and I think that they really like it. Now, I don't know if y'all been keeping up with the headlines. We send out a roundup to a number of people throughout every week, but things are changing. And just since 2005, just around us, we've had 7 hospitals closed. But we have a number of hospitals in the state of Alabama. When you listen to Alabama Hospital Association, they say that we have a number of small hospitals that are at imminent risk of closure. I know that I saw on one of the Becker's list that they're out of 51 small hospitals in Alabama, 34 of them are operating with losses. I'll just tell you, that's not sustainable. That is not something that can be sustained. And we're going to end up with healthcare deserts throughout the state because you're going to end up with 40, 50, 60, 100 miles where there's no healthcare because these hospitals are closing. And I think that's something that we're starting to see. You obviously saw what happened. There were 3 maternity programs, 2 of them around the Birmingham market that just closed because they are not profitable. Now, a lot of times you offset, you'll say, well, these are not profitable. These are. It just kind of works because we want to provide all the care. But there are places that are, if they're already in the red, they're looking to trim some of these lost, what they would call lost leaders, and they're cutting maternity programs out. And that's just happened here in the state of Alabama just recently. And there'll probably be more things coming. One of the things I have heard about, is that, well, Southeast Health, they're running all the physicians away. I've heard that. Let's look at data. That's really more telling. Since 2018, we had 291 active physicians on staff at the hospital, and in 2023, we had 324. So to me, it doesn't look like we're running them away for sure. As a matter of fact, we're recruiting, and we're continually recruiting. We had an increase of 33, but look what we just landed another rheumatologist and cardiologist. You can see there's neurohospitalists, we continually recruit, ER, psych hospitalists. These are just the employed docs. We also have independent physician groups that are recruiting. I know that GI docs have added another 2. I know that the anesthesiologists have added 3. Orthopedics has added a couple. So there's this notion that we're running docs off is just not true. They're continuing to grow. The population of the doctors are continuing to grow, and they're growing on active staff at the hospital. There's a couple there, Dr. Whitney and Dr. Weir. Dr. Weir actually graduated from ACOM. So we're starting to see this return of people graduating from the medical school, going off to residency and coming back. So we're real happy about that. ACOM obviously is the academic arm of the hospital. It's actually the largest medical school by students in the state of Alabama. So we have 210 students that we admit every year at ACOM. This last year, we graduated our 1,000th graduate. We're at 1,058. I think it's 1,058. But anyway, we stopped, had a big round of applause when we hit number 1,000. It's kind of exciting. So very happy about ACOM, and it just continues to do great. There are 4 medical schools in the state of Alabama. We've got us, Auburn, then you have UAB, and then South. And so those are your 4. And there's 1,058. So there they are right there. We're very pleased with how the ACOM students are doing. Now, let me talk about how you become a doctor. So everybody thinks, well, you graduate ACOM or graduate whatever medical school it is. I'm a doctor, right? Yep, you are a doctor. But what kind of doctor are you, right? Are you a general surgeon? Are you a family practice? Are you a psychiatrist? What kind of doctor are you? You have to go to residency to do that. And so here's what we do know. Is you have residencies and you have fellowships, get you subspecialties, and sometimes there's even multiple fellowships. But what we do know is that 75% of graduating residents normally practice within 75 miles of where they graduated their residency. So what's the key to get more doctors in Alabama? The key is grow the residency programs throughout the state of Alabama. And so that's what we've really been trying to do, is to grow residencies in the state of Alabama. We have an internal medicine residency program. We have 48 doctors in that. We have a transitional year residency at the hospital, and there's 12 residents in that. This gives you an idea of what the vision was in 2013. When they said, we are going to grow doctors in hopes that they start coming home. These are just 10 that have come back to Southeast Health. I do know that we have others that have come back to Enterprise. We have others that have come back down into Geneva and other areas around the Wiregrass area. But we're starting to see physicians come back that graduated ACOM, which was the vision early on in 2010 when they began working on ACOM. Now, one thing I'll tell you about me, and my team knows that you've got to have a plan. Like, plan to work and work the plan. Let's do something, but let's have a plan while we're doing it. And so the question is, what are we going to do, knowing the things and what the rough water we have coming our way? What's in store for us is we are going to see continued emergency room growth. As these smaller hospitals begin to continue to struggle, if there are closures, you're going to see more and more people. The people still need care, and they're going to show up here in Dothan. They're probably going to show up in the emergency department. We believe that emergency room growth is going to continue. Inpatient growth is going to continue to grow. If ER growth happens, inpatient growth will happen because a certain percentage will be admitted. Outpatient growth, we're already seeing that. I told y'all about the CT scan. We're trying to keep up with the outpatient growth, and we'll continue to focus on that, but it is continuing to grow. And we enter joint ventures. We're a member at the Dothan Endoscopy Center. We're a joint venture. The Dothan Surgery Center joint ventures. Where it's appropriate, we will do joint ventures, and we continue to do that. I told y'all earlier about the capital spend. We'll expend about 20 to 25 million a year in order to stay current, so that we can make sure that we have the technology that's needed to provide the care here in the community. And then obviously quality and patient satisfaction. I told you, we don't want, look, everybody's trying to get better. So if you're not getting better faster than the next guy, you're moving back. So we got to continually work on patient satisfaction and quality. And so we're going to do that. Recruiting and retaining employees is a big deal. It's a big deal for everybody. We have a 2.3% unemployment rate in this county. And people can leave us and have a job in 30 minutes. And so we've got to make sure that we have something attractive so that they want to stay with us. And so we work on retention in a big way. And then we want to recruit top-tier medical students. Listen, when ACOM started in 2013, there were 30 osteopathic medical schools in the U.S. There are over 60 now. But the population of the medical school applicant hasn't grown at that rate. So now you have more schools recruiting the same population of students, and so it has become more competitive. And what we want to make sure is that we have top-tier medical students coming to ACOM, so we want to make sure that it remains attractive. I don't know, did I make my time? I don't know if I did or not, but I was trying. So, what questions do y'all have of me that I can answer real quickly?
Where are you drawing your students now? What area are they?
Yeah, we group nationally. It's nationally. Yeah, there are five main states that we get out of. Believe it or not, California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. So those are the five main states, but we really get them from a lot of, not all 50 states, but a lot of them.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Thank you.
If you do have any questions, feel free to come forward at the end. I'm sure Mr. Sutton will stick around for a minute to answer any questions.
And we would love to recruit you for our Rotary Club too.
All right, next week, it is Mardi Gras season. I'm sure there's been some balls the past couple of weeks, but we will have Harry Hall with us next week to talk about the Dothan Mardi Gras Parade. So looking forward to that. Great to see so many guests here today. Hope to see you back here again soon. Thank you to those that helped prepare today's program. With that, will you please stand for the four-way test? Of the things we think, say, or do, is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it goodwill and appreciates? Will be beneficial for all. Shine the light of Rotary.